Welcome to my channel. My name is Arthur. I am an amateur balloonist. In August of 2021, I set off on an adventure in which I spent 62 hours straight in the air in a homemade hot air balloon. And I was successful at setting the Guinness World Records for the longest distance traveled in a hot air balloon without external power and the longest duration in a hot air balloon without external power. The adventure started out with a small problem. You see, we had actually planned to do this flight about 1 year prior to that date, but we were beaten by bad weather. But when we got up there this time, the conditions were perfect. During the course of the adventure, I learned a lot about myself and about being stuck in a balloon for so long. In this video, I'm going to teach you everything that I know now about how to spend more than 2 days straight in a hot air balloon. So let's get started. First thing you need to understand is what type of balloon that we are dealing with here. This is not your normal helium-filled party balloon that just floats away into the sky and gets popped by some kid. Now, sirs, this is a fully custom-built hot air balloon. It's handmade. It's called the lung. That's because it kind of looks like a lung, right? And it can hold up to 4 people, but usually we just go with 2. One person pilots the balloon and one person is the chase vehicle driver. This is not your normal hot air balloon either. Most hot air balloons have a burner that uses propane to heat up the air inside the envelope or the balloon. Now we have something different. Our burner is powered by diesel fuel, which is very different from propane. Diesel fuel burns longer and cleaner, meaning that our burn rate is about 3 gallons per hour at full power. It will burn all night long if we wanted to without needing any intervention. Okay, now we know what we're working with. Let's talk logistics. First things first, if you're going to be spending any amount of time in a balloon, you're going to need a good pilot. I would recommend contacting your local balloon club and asking them for a referral. The pilot that flew with me on this adventure has been flying balloons for over 27 years. He has flown in all types of weather conditions imaginable. And he even teaches classes on how to fly a hot air balloon. He's literally the best of the best. You'll also need a chase vehicle. If you're planning to do anything past a couple of hours in the air, you're going to need someone to drive around on the ground keeping tabs on where you are and where you're going to land. Because here's the thing, hot air balloons don't have motors. They don't have rudders or ailerons. There's nothing to steer them with. All you can do is control how much air is inside the envelope to increase or decrease the amount of lift that it creates. So you're basically at the mercy of the winds. And that means that you could be up there for a really long time. Or, you might only be up there for an hour if the wind knocks you back down to earth pretty quickly. So having a chase vehicle on the ground is essential. And then finally, you need the right conditions. We had originally planned to do this flight in August of 2020, but we got beat by thunderstorms. This time around, though, the weather was absolutely perfect. There was no chance of rain in the forecast. There was no wind, which sounds counterintuitive. But trust me, you don't want any wind when you're trying to stay in the same place for an extended period of time. We launched the balloon at 6 a.m. in the morning on Friday and landed it 2 days later on Sunday afternoon. During that entire time, the winds were less than 2 knots, which is about 2 miles per hour. When the winds are that calm, it's called a clear air mass, and that's exactly what we want. All right, let's keep going. I already talked about the burner a little bit, but it's worth mentioning again because it's really important. Like I said, our burner uses diesel fuel, and it will burn all night long if we want it to. That's why we're able to stay up there for so long. The fuel tank holds 12 gallons, and with the burn rate being around 3 gallons per hour, that means that we could technically stay up there for 4 days, maybe even longer if we didn't need to come down. For any other reason, there is a really cool tool that I found online that calculates how much fuel you're going to need for your trip based on your burn rate and how long you think you're going to be up there. For example, if we wanted to stay up for 30 hours straight, we would only need about 9 gallons of fuel. But if we wanted to do what we did and stay up for 60 hours, we would need about 18 gallons. Speaking of the burn rate, though, that brings me to my next point, which is safety. The burner is the most dangerous part of the entire adventure. It's literally a giant open flame, and it needs to be attended at all times. Every half hour, one of us would get up on top of the balloon and manually turn the burner on and off to regulate the temperature inside the envelope. When the burner is on, it burns hot enough that if you touch it, you will get third-degree burns. So definitely don't touch it. And if you inhale too much of the exhaust, it can knock you unconscious. That is why we made sure to take turns going up on top of the balloon so that neither of us would get exhausted. Now, believe it or not, I was actually pretty comfortable up in that balloon. That's because before we took off, we put some foam padding on the floor and along the walls. We brought some pillows and blankets with us so that we could lay down and sleep. I packed a sleeping bag, but I never used it because I was just too comfortable laying down inside the balloon. I also brought some food and water. Food wasn't really a big deal. I ate the same stuff that I normally eat, just prepackaged so that it was easier to take with me. Water, though, that was a little bit of a different story. Because of the way that hot air balloons work, gravity does all the work for you. Everything inside the envelope is heavier than air, so it sinks. That means that it's really easy to drink your water, but it's really hard to get rid of it afterwards. So make sure to pace yourself with the water. You definitely don't want to overindulge. Okay, so those are the basics of what you need to survive in a hot air balloon for more than 2 days. But let's talk a little bit about what actually happened during the course of the flight. When we launched the balloon on Friday morning, we were excited but a little nervous. You know, this was a big deal. We were attempting to break 2 world records. But once we got up there, everything went according to plan. The burner worked perfectly. The winds were calm and the weather was great. We didn't have any problems until about the 48-hour mark. That's when the wind started to pick up a little bit and the rain started to fall. We were getting close to the end of our trip, so we decided to push through it and we landed in some pretty rough conditions. But overall, everything went well. We broke both of our world records and we had a blast doing it. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, this guy is crazy. Why would anybody want to spend a day straight in a balloon? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it's amazing. Being up there in the sky with nothing but clouds below you and the sun shining down on you is truly breathtaking. I would recommend this adventure to anybody who loves the outdoors and who is looking for a unique experience. Just make sure to do your research, plan ahead, and bring plenty of water. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more adventures like this one. Also, I have a podcast called The Doers where I interview people who are doing really cool things in their lives. If you'd like to listen, you can find the podcast on various platforms. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you on another adventure soon.